Hey everyone, it's Brandon here again for another video. Today's video, I'm going to talk about a pretty straightforward meditation technique that's going to have practical benefits for your life. Now, this meditation technique is going to be mostly focused around reducing negative emotions such as anxiety, fear, things like depression, all that sort of stuff. You really have to realize, if your life is filled with anxiety or depression or anything like that, obviously you feel that negativity just itself when you're in one of those states. But beyond that, it is just really going to drag down on everything in your life. So it's really important to find a way to get out of these negative mind states and just states in general. So it's really straightforward and simple how you can get out of this. And this is a technique that I learned from Dhammarato. He learned a lot of it from Bhikkhu Buddhadasa. If you don't know, a bhikkhu is just the name for a Buddhist monk, but he was a very well-known monk, Buddhadasa was, and he taught this method. So, and the Buddha himself taught this method. This was, according to Bhikkhu Buddhadasa, the only meditation technique that we actually have record of the Buddha teaching. So what is this? It's gonna sound way too simple to work at first for some of you, especially if you've been into spirituality for a while. But trust me, just give it a try and stick with it for a couple weeks and you'll probably notice it's a lot more powerful than you think. It really shocked me. I didn't expect much when I first tried it, honestly. So it is simply going to be breathing meditation, but there is an important element of breathing meditation that the way that it was taught back in the Buddha's time by the Buddha, that has been left out or lost, or people have failed to realize the significance of this step in that meditation technique. So as simple as the technique might seem, just breathing in and out and being aware of those sensations in the present moment, that does a lot, okay, to take you in a lot of great directions if you can actually do it proficiently. But beyond just noticing the sensations, beyond just being present, you also want to voluntarily introduce positive, or what Dhammarato would call wholesome thoughts. So these are thoughts that are basically not going to be aligned with the hindrances. If you don't know what the hindrances are, you can basically just think of them as negative mind states, negative thoughts, negative anything, even sensations that are going to lead to a lower state than where you're at right now. It's essentially, if you don't feel amazing and great and happy and satisfied in the moment, then there are probably some hindrances there. So how do you remove these hindrances? Well, let's say right now I do this technique. I would just start taking long, actually controlled deep breaths, just slow, like do it with me while you're watching this video. Slow, controlled, deep breaths. This is going to do one thing on a physiological level, which just slowing down your breathing is going to have a physical impact on your cortisol levels, all that kind of stuff. Anything that's going to promote anxiety, fearful states, things like depression, all that's going to be more active when your breathing is shallow and quick, like it is for so many people these days. So now that you're paying attention to the breath and the actual sensations of the breath, you can choose whatever area of the breath sensations, or even the whole entirety of the breath if you want. That's not really the most important part. The important part is that you're sticking with those sensations that you're actually feeling in the moment right now. And then once you're with that, you're going to raise your level of mindfulness in that moment. And that's where things get interesting, because basically mindfulness is you're going to be able to pick up on more of what is actually happening now. It's kind of like a computer, if you think about it. Your CPU, normally your brain is being taken up by so many thoughts of the past and future. Often those thoughts from the past and future are regret from the past, or worry for the future. Will I have enough money, for rent by the end of this month? Something like that. This kind of stuff is going to chip away at your mental fortitude and lower your state consistently. So when we do a practice like this breath meditation, and we're doing it with the express goal of feeling those sensations in the moment, it takes up part of that CPU space or RAM space, however you want to think about it. It's going to use more of your brain is going to be focused on something that is at worst neutral, the breath, but really is quite a positive sensation. It's not like the breath is painful or something. And another reason why the breath is so good for this technique is because it's always accessible, no matter where you are, what you're doing. Unless you're deep sea diving without oxygen, you can do this technique essentially. So that's one reason why the breath is good. But beyond that, this is the important part. We're going to introduce those wholesome thoughts, those positive thoughts. This is going to change your thinking, which is part of that CPU space that's getting taken up. It's going to change a lot of that from being negative to intentionally being positive. An important step to remember in this process is you don't want to be bullshitting yourself with lies of positivity. You want to find something. It can be a small thing. It could be the simple fact that you have a roof over your head right now. It could be that the temperature is at a good level right now, and that's a good thing. And you're happy for that. You're thankful for that. It could be that, this blanket, that I've got on is really comfortable and I'm on a comfortable couch. Anything like that. You find an authentic and real part of your experience right now that is positive, and then you introduce thoughts based on that and how nice it is that that thing is there. When you pair this with raising your mindfulness and becoming more focused into what is happening now rather than what has happened or what will happen, this drastically changes the percentage of your mind and whole field of sensations that is going to be focused on something that is going to bring negative mental states versus positive ones. So if you think about it like that, when we're doing this, raising the mindfulness and then also introducing the positive thoughts, it's going to work in a sort of feedback loop. As you pay attention to more neutral or even positive sensations, such as the breath, rather than your back pain, rather than the annoying sound over here, you're focused on this, which is at worst neutral, at best quite a pleasant sensation and interesting. When you do that, that's when things are going to change. When you pair those two, you have the positive thoughts, which are going to change the thoughts themselves, which is going to create a better state, and sensations are going to be experienced more pleasantly. Your whole experience is going to feel somewhat better. But then you also have the storyline of these thoughts that are going to reinforce positive perspectives. So I could go a lot more in depth on this. I know I said it's kind of a simple or straightforward technique. There's actually tons and tons of detail on how this could be practiced properly in the most ideal way. If you want to know what that would be like, you can look up the Anapanasati Sutta. That's Anapanasati, Anapanasati Sutta, Sutta. And that will tell you all of the steps. There are 16 steps in this technique as it was taught by the Buddha. But this practice will greatly help you remove anxiety, depression, and negative thoughts if you practice it. The important thing, though, is that you're more consistent with it. Mindfulness is sort of like a muscle. If you do not work it and do not work with it constantly and often, it will not do nearly as much. Sitting down to meditate for an hour a day is not as good as using this technique for hours a day while you're not sitting down meditating, but maybe you're at work or something like that. Increasing your mindfulness throughout the day will actually do a lot more in a lot of cases for people than just sitting meditation. It's really about the momentum and consistency of practice that does a lot. So I hope that you've gotten something of value out of this video. If you have any questions about the technique or want to go more in depth on it, you can reach out to me in the comments, or even by my phone number on WhatsApp, or on my Skype, which will be in the description if you want to have a more in-depth conversation on how to do this technique or other spiritual things of that nature. And I'm going to leave it off for now. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Give it a like, a thumbs up if you did enjoy it and get some value out of it, and subscribe if you want to see more content like this that's going to be geared towards practical steps you can take to have a better life. I'll see you in the next one.